Welcome. My name's Dan Stewart. I'm the founder of Happy Grasshopper, and I'm really excited that you're here today to learn about recruitment. So before we dig in and dive into the content, we've got to cover some high-level stuff. So I've prepared some notes here that I have on my favorite device called the Remarkable, and I'm going to review these with you because I think if we agree on some of these high-level things, everything else that we need to talk about today is going to go much, much easier. So let's start from the very beginning, right? Like, why do we even care about recruitment? Why is that important? If you're here right now, you already know those reasons, and they likely include things like security, growth, ambition, right? Fulfilling your vision. There's all sorts of reasons you might be interested in recruiting people. And I'm here to tell you as living proof that no matter how large your goals are, it's far easier to accomplish them together than alone. My life has been blessed by participation of just amazing people. I'm privileged to have a staff I truly love. I'm privileged to have started 7 companies in my career and employed hundreds and hundreds of people. As you see behind me, the awards on the wall, we've spent 4 consecutive years on the Inc. 500. That means we're one of America's fastest growing privately held companies. And having done that for 4 consecutive years requires that you know a thing or two about growth. And the first challenge that you really discover when you're growing is that, oh my gosh, you have to have people. So I'm going to open today by telling you just a little story. Back in 2005, I founded a company called Geological. We were a geotechnical contracting company, and we did sinkhole remediation throughout Florida. Well, come around 2006, 2007, we were growing so quickly that I had a growth plateau I just couldn't break through. The problem was that I was not capable of managing as many projects simultaneously as we needed to have operating simultaneously. So my management style had to change, right? I was managing by being in the field with the crew, making sure that the work was done according to our plan. And what I discovered was that that was a limiting growth factor for us. We couldn't scale beyond that range. The limiting factor was the hours in the day I had to physically be present at each of these job sites. And with work spread out all over the state of Florida, it created a real problem. So, not only did I have to recruit people capable of managing the work, but I made a key discovery that made everything better. And it was that if we recruited the right people, if we recruited for culture first and skills second, we didn't have to manage every aspect of the work. That was the one simple change that regarded in the astronomical growth that we enjoyed over the next several years. When we went from just a few men with trucks and shovels to over 100 employees, it happened directly because of this one simple change that we made. And that was deciding to recruit for culture first and skills second, okay? So I know earlier I asked what sort of questions you'd like to get answered today, and I think I've just answered one of them, right? A lot of you already sense in your hearts that you want to attract the right people. You agree with me there. The question is how? Well, we're going to cover that today. We'll absolutely make that happen for you. So to do this, what we really need to establish is a framework, right? We have to have a methodology that we can count on to work. Otherwise, we're continually chasing and never attracting. So a show of hands for me right now. How many people that are attending live today cold call for their recruitment efforts? Give me a thumbs up in the chat. Go ahead and chime in there. Let me know that you do some cold calling. Looking for these coming in. I see some used tos. Kim says she does. Okay. So cold calling is not a bad thing, and yet it's not the most awesome thing either. Like, we generally have a choice when we're building our organizations. We can attract people to us, or we can go chase and get people. And usually at the beginning, it's all about chasing, right? You're constantly reaching out there, trying to get people on board. And then at some point, the tide needs to change because you've done something that's special enough that people want to be part of it. Well, it's not enough to just do something that's special. you have to communicate about it in the right way. So I think we can agree, the right thing to do is build a quality pipeline of the kind of people you would love to work with, and then bring those people on board over time, right? That's an important thing to do. And the reason, of course, to do this is because not only do you get a higher quality of person, but everything else gets easier, right? When you're already attracting people who share the culture of the organization, who want to be part of the organization, everything is easier and it's a lot more fun. So instead of attracting just people, people with a pulse, like, give me agents, doesn't matter. Can they breathe? Can they fog a mirror? I want them. Like, that's no fun, right? We don't want people with a pulse. We want people with a purpose, okay? And the challenge here is that a lot of people walk around wanting to be part of something that's larger than themselves. They really do. The issue is they don't know what that thing is. So if you're in the position where you can provide that leadership for them, that's the first real milestone that you can make towards attracting rather than constantly chasing people. So that should make sense for everyone, because it's something we see over and over and over again throughout our lives. In fact, in screenwriting and in storytelling, there's a template for this. It's called the hero's journey. So consider for a moment that no matter what the movie is, no matter what piece of fiction you're reading, there's usually a protagonist, the hero. The hero wants something. They imagine this bigger, greater life for themselves. They just don't get access to it until a very special person shows up. That person is a mentor, also known as a guide, right? So the guide's job is to enter this person's life and show them what's possible, right? So in the process of recruitment, your role is to be their guide. And we'll break this down a little bit. So you've probably seen Harry Potter or read the books, right? Harry is a wizard. He has magical abilities. He doesn't know how to use them. They're not tuned. He doesn't have structure or leadership. And then Hagrid shows up and tells him he's a wizard, takes him to Hogwarts, right? Hagrid is the guide that allows Harry to access this new magical world that he wants to be part of. In Star Wars, Luke wants to be a starfighter. He wants to, become a pilot. He wants to travel the galaxy. And yet he can't until Obi-Wan shows up and opens that door for him and makes that a possibility. So in your process of recruiting people, part of your challenge is to figure out where those people want to go and then show them how joining you can help them get there, right? That's really the special thing that needs to happen. And that only happens in conversation, right? That's where that relationship gets built. That's where this person has the trust to say, yeah, I suppose I can follow you, Obi-Wan. Yeah, I suppose I can listen to Hagrid, taking Harry to this new world. So one mistake I see a lot of brokerages make in their recruitment process is that they're so focused on their model and not enough on their mission. If you're recruiting people only with your model, if that's the only thing you've got going for you, the people that you're attracting are going to leave you the moment there's a better model that shows up, right? So if they joined you because of your model, they will leave you because of your model. Keep that in mind. Now, if they join you because of your mission, that's a much better thing, right? It does require that you have a vision that's large enough for them to achieve their vision within your vision, right? So no matter how large their personal vision might be, your job is to create an organization that is big enough to allow them to fulfill it. Now, that doesn't mean they won't leave you. They may, right? But that even though they leave you, they may never leave the mission, right? So I will strongly encourage you to spend some time thinking through what it is that you're really trying to accomplish, and then attract people based on that. What can you plant your flag around? What will you really defend when it comes down to it? It's probably not just a split, right? It's probably not. It's probably not just an assertion of providing quality service, right? There are probably some much deeper things that are commonly held among yourself and the top performers within your brokerage. Those are the things that you should plant your flag around. those are the things that you want to defend and highlight. So I'll give you a few examples. I have a couple of clients that come to mind. It's 2020 right now. So a lot of us are used to working remotely now. And yet, if you've got a brick and mortar brokerage versus a brokerage where you can work remotely, you're probably attracting a different kind of agent historically. You've got that agent who needs to be elbow to elbow in an office with people to feel like they're secure and safe and can work towards achieving something. If your brokerage can never offer them that, it's probably good that you ferret that out during the process of recruiting them, right? So now what we need to do is kind of put all of this together. We need to talk about how once you've established your vision, you can go ahead and make use of that in such a way that it attracts people to you. Okay, so this is a part where you're definitely going to want to take some notes. If you don't have anything to write with, go ahead and grab it. Like grab some paper, grab a pen. This is stuff you're definitely going to want to write down. Okay, so I'm going to lay out for you the critical steps in recruiting people to your organization and retaining them over time through attraction rather than through chasing. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is identify who it is that we're trying to attract, right? If you know exactly who your target recruit is, you have a much better opportunity of finding them. And I'll tell you, I've been helping brokerages recruit agents now for almost 10 years. And in that time, I've heard all sorts of different descriptions. I've had brokers tell me, find me agents doing between 3 and 5 million a year. We'll instantly get them to 7 to 10. I've had brokerages tell me, I want the brand new agent. I don't want anyone who's developed bad habits anywhere else. I have others who say, I want to attract only the top producers so I don't have to babysit them. Like, whatever your answer is, it's your answer, and therefore it's right. It's totally subjective to you about who you want to build your future with. Just be certain it's the right people. This takes some bravery. It takes some courage to say, there are certain people I'm just not willing to work with. There are certain people I can't wait to work with. If you're going to feel joyous and happy and fulfilled in your life, you need to surround yourself with people you love to spend time with. So as you're building that profile of who it is you're recruiting, those are things you should definitely keep in mind. Now, once you have this group identified, this perfect ideal candidate, this image in your mind of what they're like to work with, what their attitudes are, whether they're an optimistic, positive person or a pessimistic, negative person. Once you have that worked out, you need to figure out where they are, right? So step one is to identify who you want. Step two is to make contact with them, right? Now, to make that contact, there are a few things that you have to do along the way. There are services that I recommend, things like Teradata's Service Broker Metrics, which can pull a list for you of agents in your market performing in certain bands of performance that you might find attractive. You can sort and select and choose a list of agents that make sense for you. Showing Time has broker tools that do a very similar thing. Showing Time's interface is a little more updated and easier to use. Both of them are quality data sources. So whichever one you choose, you can pull a list of agents who would be your ideal candidates, right? At least from a performance perspective. Until you've engaged with them, until you've had a conversation with them, you can't say for sure that they're actually someone who's a good cultural match for you. So the question then is, well, how do I make contact with them? What do I do? Well, I would suggest that your first contact should not be a sales pitch. It should not be, hi, I'm Dan, come join my brokerage, right? That doesn't work. Your first approach, your first message to them should be something that builds rapport. So my top tip, this is something that consistently works for the members that we serve with recruitment. It would be to congratulate them about their own personal performance. So I'll call someone out here. I see Randy here on the list. So if Randy were an agent that I was wanting to recruit and I saw in Broker Metrics or Showing Time that he had a great last quarter, well, I would want to congratulate him about that. hey, Randy, it's Dan Stewart over at Happy Grasshopper. Just reaching out to say, wow, you had an amazing last quarter. Well done. Hand clap, like simple stuff. Maybe that's a text. Maybe it's an email. Maybe it's a voicemail drop. It could be any of those things. The point is, all you're doing is congratulating them. Now, keep in mind, this agent that's receiving your congratulations might not be getting it from anyone else. It's possible that their own team leader or their own broker is not congratulating them for their performance, right? So when they hear from you, they're almost always going to reply positively. They're going to thank you. And that's where you get the chance to have a conversation with them. And that conversation, like when you get that initial reply, my recommendation would be to start positioning yourself. And I mean this literally, yourself, not your brand, not your brokerage yet, literally yourself. You can say things like, well, I'm the kind of person who likes to pay attention to what's going on in the market. So your numbers caught my attention. I'm impressed. You're one to watch. Hope you don't mind if I keep in touch, right? And they're going to say, oh, it's awesome. Please do, right? Because you're not hard-nosed recruiting at this point. You're building that relationship before the recruitment conversation happens. Because let's face the facts, guys. Everybody at some point is going to be susceptible to change. It does not mean they're susceptible to it today. I'll give you a perfect example. I drive a 2016 Subaru, and I love it. It's a great little car. It's been dependable. It's economical. It's fun to drive. It like checks all my boxes. I love that little car. And yet, if I had to pick up someone important at the airport, if I wanted to impress someone with my car, I would immediately start thinking, oh, maybe it's time to go car shopping. So before I have that moment, I'm not susceptible to any sort of marketing for car people. After I've had that realization, I am. So in your messaging, what you're doing is building rapport so that when they receive that signal from the universe that it's time for change, you're the person that they're thinking of, right? That's important to recognize. Second, in your messaging, you should be sending content that plants that seed. You can deliver that message. You can be that person they need to pick up at the airport, right? If you follow the example. You can be that kind of message, that signal from the universe that gets them thinking that it's time for change. So step one, identify who. Step two, make contact, right? Now, step three is to consistently communicate with them. This is so important. It doesn't do you any good if you just reach out once and congratulate them. You need to follow up. There needs to be a very consistent pattern in your communication with them. Consistency equals professionalism, folks. It absolutely does. So if this is someone you really wanted to bring on board, you're going to have to show them that you're the kind of person who consistently does things over time. So you need to either hire us, have a system set up where we can run it for you, or you need to build your own system using other tools where there's constantly messaging lined up for you on a regular basis that's really in line with your culture, right? The people who resonate with that content are likely to be cultural matches for you, where the people who don't want it, they're not part of that, they're just like, oh, stop sending me stuff. They're probably not a cultural fit for you. So sometimes the best hire you can make is not hiring someone, right? So I strongly suggest that you lean into who you are in the creation of your content. And that's why we have 0 one-size-fits-all solutions for recruitment at Happy Grasshopper. I assign one of my staff copywriters to each member. They interview you, and then they create content specifically for you to accomplish your goals. So again, whether you write all that yourself or you hire us and have us do it for you, hint, hint, it needs to be done. It's critical to your success. So let's review what we've covered so far. We've identified who, we've made contact, right? Now we're consistently communicating with them over time. The next step in the process is to have an appointment with them. It's time to turn that communication a little bit such that it causes you to get together for coffee, such that it causes you to have a phone call. This is the sort of content shift that takes place after you've had some messaging sent out for a specific period of time. And then, of course, once you've had that conversation, it's time to talk about what their ambitions are, right? You need to hear them before you offer them your solution. You always want to dig first, right? Dig first, find out what they're trying to accomplish in their life before you try to recruit them. I mean, what if, like, imagine this scenario. You've been recruiting someone, you've sent messaging to them, you've had several great conversations, and they say yes, and you go to meet for coffee with them. And man, this is just the ideal recruit for you. They fit absolutely every one of your criteria. You've had a bunch of delightful exchanges in your messaging. You're thinking, oh, this is perfect. And you sit down with them and you start talking about how great your brokerage is and how wonderful it would be for them to join. And, it's all one-sided. And they listen and they're, yeah, that's wonderful. Oh, this is really great. And then they close the conversation by saying, but my spouse has just been transferred and we're moving across the country, right? You always need to dig first because you don't want to spend a ton of time really trying to build that value proposition and recruit someone until you know where it is they're wanting to go, right? So paying attention to their personal life trajectory is a really good clue about whether or not they're going to be someone that's worthy of joining you. So after you've had this appointment, you're going to have some percentage of people that are ready to join, right? That's the next step in the process. That's the close. Now they've joined you, right? So once they've joined you, that doesn't mean the process stops, right? You should have an onboarding sequence. And again, whether it's with us or it's somewhere else, you need to make sure that your communication doesn't stop after they've said yes. You need to continue that communication with them after they've joined, because what happens after we buy something? What happens after we make a major purchase? This happens to everybody, right? Some of us experience buyer's remorse. And the way that you overcome that as a recruiting broker is to continue to communicate with them immediately post-recruitment process. That's called the onboarding sequence. And then step 7 is to reinforce your vision, right? So through that initial communication sequence, you've explained what you're about. You've made these cultural touchstones. You've had conversations about them, right? You want to reinforce that in your ongoing content. And of course, you want to continually, consistently communicate with them over time. So there's all sorts of ways that you can communicate with them over time. You can send email. You can send voicemail drops. You can send text messages. You can send handwritten cards. You can invite them to personal meetings. You can have them at training events. There should be an ongoing communication chain that happens from your brokerage to all of the agents within the brokerage. What you need to look into as a recruiting broker or someone staffed with recruiting at your firm is how you can join that communication strain in a meaningful way, right? So I'm going to jump back here. There's so much chat in here. Wow, I've got some reading to do there, Scott, for sure. So let's see. Have you ever hired someone that you absolutely regretted? I don't know a single person that hasn't made a mistake in hiring people. So, if that's you, like if you're here participating today and you look back and you, wow, I really screwed up with that hire. Well, of course you did. Like, you're human, okay? Forgive yourself for that. It's okay. Sometimes we're so anxious to hire, we're so hungry to hire that we forget to be really focused on hiring the right people. And sometimes people fool us. I've hired people who test well. They interview well. Oh my gosh, they seem absolutely wonderful. And then the person I hired is a completely different person than the person I interviewed. That happens from time to time. All I can say is, the cliche about hiring slow and firing fast is true for a reason. Maya Angelou says that when people show you who they are, you should believe them. I absolutely agree with that. So it's hard. It's hard sometimes to let people go, and yet the whole organization gets better. So don't hang on to that sour fruit longer than you have to. I would say absolutely move on. And Randy, I see your comment here. I fired nearly as many people as I've hired in my career. Not always my hires that I've fired. Yep. Certainly when you're part of an organization, that'll happen, definitely. So what I'm going to do now is a screen share. I'm going to jump over. I want to show you guys some of the ways that we're helping our members with recruitment issues. So let me get this screen share started for us. All right, so if you can confirm for me that you're seeing that, that would be awesome. And as I say that, I'm looking for where the chat might be. There it is. All right, I see that you're seeing it. That's awesome. Thank you for letting me know. So what I'm going to show for you today is one of the ways that we serve our broker partners in their need to recruit and retain really quality agents. So we've built a program we call Chirp. And agents can subscribe to Chirp on their own. And what they get is a communication plan that is specifically designed for their sphere of influence and their past clients. Now, for broker clients, the way that it works is a little bit different. So we provide our application for the brokerage. We just do it in your branding and your colors, right? So here you see a few of these that we've created for some of our partners. And what the application specifically does is deliver email, text, and ringless voicemail drops on a schedule throughout the year. So when these messages are sent, they're sent from your agent to your agent's contacts, right? They're not from the brokerage to your agent's contacts. They're from your agent to your agent's past clients and sphere, right? Now, the great thing for you is that the messages we send, letting them know it's time to send a message, they come from you. So in this example, you're seeing a message we send every day called a hot sheet. And the hot sheet shows the member exactly who's engaging in their content. And those messages come from you, right? So your agents get to see you in their inbox in more ways than you can even think, right? This is a really, really beneficial thing. I'll show you some of the messaging here. Like you'll notice this is a coffee invite message. This is a Mother's Day message. Here's some text messages. What happens is our staff creates the content for you. We load it into the system, and then we send notifications from you to your agents, letting them know that it's time to send a message. And the messages that we send, you'll see here, birthdays, holidays, transaction anniversaries, topical, keep in touch, and quarterly appointment setting messages. So that's actually 41 touches per year per contact, right? So every contact gets touched 41 times per year. Now let's take a look at some reporting data. Excellent deliverability. In this case, the recipient is always known by the sender. So the deliverability is really, really high on these messages, and is the open rate, 38.2%, which is nearly double, as you see on the screen, the industry average. That's awesome. Now, open rates are great, right? But they mean absolutely nothing. Who cares if people open the message? What we want are replies. So, if I send out 100 messages and I get 10 responses, those responses are typically leading to opportunities to do business. That's outstanding. And text response rate is even higher, of course. So of these data points on the screen, the one I'm probably most proud of is that the individual agent using our service is averaging an 1,160% return on just one transaction coming from the system. And we have tons of clients who are generating multiple transactions each time they send. So there's really magic when you're engaging people in conversations on a regular basis. I like to say conversations lead to contracts. They absolutely do. And I'll show you a little bit about how we do that. So digging deeper, the framework here for these systems, the 41 touches per year consist of 17 non-salesy emails. So a non-salesy email has no call to action. It's not come to my website and search for a house. It's not market data, right? It's conversation starting content about interesting things that are happening now. And rather than having a call to action, it's got a call to conversation at the end. Now, text messaging, we send 6 to 12 texts per year, and also 6 to 12 ringless voicemail drops per year to each contact. So I'll break down these texts and these voicemails. So a text message that is great to send would be for birthdays and for transaction anniversaries. Those should always absolutely go out, right? And then that covers 2 of the 6 to 12. Then we've got the 4 quarterly lead harvesting messages. So that's 6. And then the balance of the 6 to 12 would be holiday messaging. So, you know, if you look at this 41 touches per year that are described here, I'm going to again reemphasize, this is from the agent to the agent's contacts. Well, how powerful do you think it would be if we took this same sequencing and we sent it to people you were trying to recruit? Wow, we can start all sorts of conversations here. So let me show you the sorts of things that you should expect when we're sending these messages. First of all, you should know replies come almost instantly. We see this over and over again. I love this one from Cassidy because, you know, I get it. Like, there's so many people selling stuff on the internet. I mean, who knows, right? Well, she sent just 3 contacts to test it, and sent her email at 3:57, got her first reply 13 minutes later. Okay. So I know that sometimes agents are skeptical, and yet when they send these messages, they see that it really works. And we make it super, super easy for them to do that. So if you're a brokerage, one of the challenges that you have is you're always looking at tech you can provide your agents. And then the challenge is, well, will the agents actually use it? Like, how frustrating can that be? You invest all this time and money to find the right technology, to pull it in, to get it all integrated, make it all work, and then the agents just ignore it. Well, that's one of the best things about our system, because we make it so easy for the agent to use. We just load their contacts, and then we tell them, hey, here's new content. It's ready for you to send. Just pick a message and send it. And here I'll show you a message that we recently sent for Randall Martin. He's with CB&A in Houston, Texas, and he sent this through the system that Chance Brown, their managing broker, set up for them with us. So this message is about Blockbuster, right? It's not about real estate. The message reads, did you see this? Blockbuster's last store is now an Airbnb rental. They've set it up with 90s furniture, TV, VCR, and all the movies you can watch for $4 per night. And call me crazy, but I actually love this. It kind of makes me wish they had paid more attention to Netflix and pivoted sooner. Speaking of real estate changes, do you know anyone who's thinking of moving, or even someone we could convince to move if they got enough money for their home, right? So that's where this message becomes really, really effective for Randall. And he actually posted this in his company Facebook group. Within 90 minutes, he received an email back from a client that closed in 2013. Like, he figured he would show it so he could see how easy the flow is. And here's that email that he received back. You know, hi, Randall. Hope that you, Vanessa, and your family are doing well. Your last sentence got me, right? That's how we're turning the conversation to real estate. That's where the opportunity comes from for the agent. And keep in mind, all of this is happening within the product that's branded for their brokerage, right? So this great feeling that they get using the service, all of that accrues back to you. Becomes a very helpful retention tool. Now, Randall goes on to say that he got more replies, and yet another one came in. And he's looking at $1.5 to $2 million in turnarounds just from that one email. Okay? I mean, why would we not start conversations with people who already know us, like us, and trust us? When we do that, these conversations lead to contracts. That's exactly what we're seeing here in this example. Now, I thought it'd be fun to show you his actual stats. So there's his send. He just sent to 198 people. His open rate, 53%, 2 clicks, 1 complaint, right? Kind of a no-brainer, folks. Like, who wouldn't send that message for a shot at $1.5 million to $2 million in business? Now, the best part here is we make this available for the agent, and depending on your brokerage, the agent may pay for this or the brokerage may pay for this. And we do it at just $2 per contact per year. So it's the ultimate no-brainer in real estate marketing at the moment. We're doing so well with people who need this service. And what I'd like to invite you to do is just grab a spot on, let's see, where did this go? Stop in my screen share there. All right. I'd like you to go to happygrasshopper.com/brokers. And I'll put this in the chat here for you. It's happygrasshopper.com/brokers. And that's a link to a page where we describe Chirp. You can book a call there with me or with a member of my staff. What I'd like to do is spend a little bit of time listening about what your goals are so that we could consider a program that will help you achieve them. I have some clients who've recruited over 1,000 agents. I have one client recruiting over 200 per month. And I have other clients who tell me, you know what, if we could add 10 agents this year, that would be fantastic. So whatever your goal is, we need to know. We need to talk about that so we can put the right content structure in place for you. So I saved a little time here at the end to answer some questions. Happy to invite you to put those in the chat. I'll answer as many of them as I can for you. Ding, ding, ding. Going back through here. So I see that link is there in the chat. Thank you, Maya, for posting that. Oh, and you've also got a case study there. And Randy, thank you. Yep. My email, by the way, is dan@happygrasshopper.com. If anyone needs that, you want to reach out there. Or if you want to book with me directly, just go to happygrasshopper.com/Dan. And Terry, you are welcome. You're absolutely welcome. I'm glad we're able to get it in here considering the rough start that we had there. So awesome. Thanks, Terry. Have a great day. All right. So does anyone have any questions I can answer for you? I'll be happy to answer them. You're welcome, Scott. Yeah, happy to have you here today. I'll look forward to having a chat with you. Well, while we're here and we have this team, there's a few things that we're working on that I'm very excited about. I recently recorded a webinar that was called The Martial Art of Achievement. And we got such a great response to this webinar that we're turning it in to a bigger project. And I'll be doing more webinars about this in the near future. Kim, you're asking about free resources. We have all sorts of free resources. Maya just put a link there to a case study. There's some content there that might be useful. We have free sample messages you can grab from our site. And in terms of free resources, okay, and a question about pricing. We can cover all that. So pricing, for Chirp, it's less than $2 per contact per year. So as an agent subscribing to Chirp, it's $47 per month, or it's $470 per the year. And then in terms of pricing for recruitment content, when we roll out Chirp for you, we can create custom content for you. We can assign one of our writers, we can interview you, we could put that content right inside your own Chirp account. So you're running your recruitment campaigns from the same system that your agents are keeping in touch with their past clients and Sphere from. And the pricing on that can vary a little bit. It's dependent on the number of agents, of course, that'll be using it. But typically to create a custom campaign, it can be as little as $1,495. So it can be very value priced. Templates for post to recruit. Okay, Kim. You know what we do? We do have some. I'm going to need to grab a link and figure out where those are. You're asking for templates to post to recruit. So there's something I mentioned earlier I want to clarify. And it would be that there is really no one size fits all for recruitment. So like I'll give you a template here for some first touches. We can talk through this. So someone's performance in the market is a great thing to have a first touch about. An industry issue could be a great thing to have a first touch about. You know, that thing people are talking about, whatever's happening in your market right now that has people up in arms, that could be a great first touch message. In every case, it should be short. It should have an invitation to a conversation. Gail, you're asking, can I present agent plans, benefits at an office meeting by Zoom? Absolutely, we can do that. In fact, one of the models that we roll this out with, we have brokerages that are paying us zero. The agent pays for our service instead of the brokerage. So when you talk about having, agent adoption issues, we just make that problem completely go away for you. So I'll give you an example with CB&A, actually, Chance Brown and Associates there in Houston, Texas. They have 315 agents, and they are a flat fee brokerage. So they're attracting agents at all different levels of production, and they don't have the kind of model where there's lots of extra margin they can buy technology for their agents. So we branded our product for CB&A. We brought together a small group of their influencers. We provided our service to them. We generated results for them. Then we had the meeting rolling it out to the brokerage. And I think we have 60 or 70 of their agents out of the 315 that are using Happy Grasshopper. Another question, is there a contract? We do not have contracts as a company. We have terms of service, right? We have a service level agreement, of course, but we don't ask our members to sign contracts or set up fees for a branded solution. Let's see. Tink, tink, tink. Yes, Kim, we did record today's session. We will be sending that recording out. We're also going to be editing portions of it. We're going to put it on our website at happygrasshopper.com/brokers. So that'll be up there. And you're welcome. Yeah, I'd love to discuss your specific recruitment needs and help you figure out a plan to go get them. Now, by the way, is a very good time of year to be thinking about this. Traditionally, even in a crazy market like we're experiencing now, agents are kind of like retreating into themselves a little bit through the holidays. They're making their plans for next year. They're making those recruitment decisions. They're deciding which brokerage they want to be part of next year. So it's not too late to get ahead of that wave and begin that process. So again, thank you everyone for attending. Definitely appreciate it. I will be happy to hang out and answer more questions as they come in. And have a sip of water. Oh, you're welcome, Holly. You're welcome, Michelle. You're welcome, Kim. No problem at all. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and just tread water here for a moment. John, I love it. John took action. He's on my calendar for tomorrow. That'll be great. Good stuff. Well, you guys go have a fantastic afternoon. That's what I'm going to do. And I'll look forward to inviting you to a future session. So take care, everybody. Bye now. Oh, you're welcome, Joel. You're welcome, Charla. That's fun. Man, I love doing this. Thank you, Teresa. You're so welcome. All right. Bye, everybody. Time to get back to work. So long.